Music has always played a subsidiary part of my life, but one that I valued. And what I didn't realize is that when I went to station school back in the early 60s, what a strong tradition of music there was in the place. And it's one that I benefited from immensely. The teachers we had were tremendous. They were drivers, such as Norman Rimmer, who would drive that choir very hard and make sure we got some really wonderful results out of it. He was a pianist and an organist. And later on, we had Ewan Roberts, who was a professor from Guildhall School of Music. And he came along and he would teach us in a much broader portfolio of stuff, which was, again, all part of the education that the school gave. In my year, we had some tremendous talents, and some of them went on to become, to take part in music as a profession. I'm thinking of the late Keith Willis on keyboards and clarinet. Think of John Alley on piano and organ. I'm thinking of Graham Bentley, most beautiful tenor voice. Then there was Richard Edis on French horn, John Rowlands and myself on keyboards, and the up-and-coming talents of the youngsters of those days, the Paul Batemans on keyboard and organ, and also Nigel North on guitar and lute. And you can imagine the kind of concerts that we used to have in those days. They were tremendous affairs. Not all concerts went well, and I was doing a duet with Keith Willis on one occasion. It was the highlight of the end of the first half of the program, and suddenly the piano wouldn't work. And I was already nervous as a kid, and it just made matters 10 times worse. The problem was sorted out over the tea break, so our item became the first item of the second half of the program. And we only found out 2 years ago, that the problem had been John Alley's pen top had fallen into the piano and made sure that the pedals wouldn't work. Thank you, John. Anyway, what else? Well, there was the annual Christmas carol service down in Hornsey, St Mary's Hornsey. And the key moment of that was always the solo by a first former, Once in Royal David City. And everything depended upon this, and the tensions would mount to see that the poor boy would do it. Our year, it was Keith Willis that sang it, and although he arrived fairly late in the day, which gave a lot of nerves to the occasion, where would he be? But he did arrive, he did sing, and that was a tremendous success. And that whole event was, again, another part of our music calendar. The final part of the calendar was always the Ash Wednesday service, which was an honour to be singing in the choir in the crypt of St Paul's Cathedral. We were celebrating the life of past master John Norton from the Stationers Company, who died in the 1600s, early 1600s. And after that service, which really was a very formal affair, we would troop back to Stations Hall, where the master would give us bangers and mash and pay us a shilling, it said, from the estate of John Norton. And that money was the first item of economic gain I ever made out of music. All I can say is that this gave me a very rich background to both the school and the Stationers Company, which I hold and treasure to this day.